movie?
Barbarian is a gory serial killer monster horror movie that touches on issues of gender, race, gentrification, and the cost of ignoring our poorest neighborhoods. A24's productions like Midsommar, Hereditary, The Lighthouse, and many more have inspired young directors to try their hand at scaring audiences. Get Out, Nope, and Jordan Peele's unlikely rise to one of the great movie directors of this generation has left audiences clamoring for new, more cerebral terror, the kind that you can discuss with friends moments after leaving the theater. Barbarian, the most talked about horror movie of 2022, carefully threads the needles between the styles of A24's artistic, modern horror and Jordan Peele's cerebral, socially conscious thrillers, as it unfolds into a tight narrative about many of the dangers that hide beneath the surface. I can't say that I've seen every major horror release of the past few years, but I can say that Barbarian is easily my favorite of this decade. Let me tell you what makes it special. Barbarian's casting is genius. Horror films will often tentpole a mediocre cast around 1 or maybe 2 stars, but the opposite is true here. Georgina Campbell, a relatively unknown actress, stars as the main character, with supporting roles from recognizable faces, Justin Long and Bill Skarsgård. Everyone plays against type, with Justin Long as an entitled Hollywood asshole instead of a plucky, lovable sidekick, and Bill Skarsgård as a funny, romantic lead instead of a literal monster.
Hello.
The decision to cast a black woman as the lead is one with meaning. Barbarian takes place in an urban, modern environment, and the film discusses the ways Georgina Campbell's character must protect herself from the types of harm that are ever present for a woman of color. The issue of race is one that is subtly alluded to again when Campbell's character seeks help from the police, but is ultimately dismissed, likely, in part, because of the color of her skin. Barbarian's plot and characters tread the line between realism and the supernatural, offering a mostly believable reason for the horrors that unfold. The story here is inspired, weaving together a number of different styles of horror. There's bits of gore, body horror, suspense, serial killers, torture, and monsters. The most effective tool that a horror film has for driving tension is the use of what either the audience or the characters can't see, and Barbarian carefully chooses those moments to create a symphony of suspense and terror. In most horror films, the audience is aware of the danger to the people on screen long before they are, but most directors need to cut away from the characters to make audiences aware of what lurks in the shadows. In Barbarian, those moments where the audience is made aware of danger is done with genius set design and great cinematography, keeping us with the characters at all times. Overall, Barbarian is a beautiful film. The house that the characters inhabit is a character in and of itself, and like any good actor, has multiple layers to its performance, starting out as a gentrification chic, recently remodeled Airbnb, and growing older and more sinister as the main characters descend each layer. A good horror movie will make viewers re-examine something that they commonly interact with, keeping the scares that they felt from the film alive for years. Barbarian will change the way you look at short-term home rentals in the same way The Ring changed the way you look at TVs. But the film will also ask you to re-examine the way you look at the economically impoverished areas of cities, particularly those neighborhoods that fell apart as the years wore on. Despite the monsters at the core of the story, this movie feels real, particularly in its warning about the kinds of dangers that are allowed to fester in the parts of our world that we'd rather not think about or deal with. And the narrative goes out of its way to humanize those who are left behind to survive on whatever they have access to. Barbarian is a timely and, I think, great film that, along with providing plenty of scares, leaves viewers with a lot to think about. It's a layered and thoughtful horror film that could have used a higher special effects budget, but blends a lot of different styles and plot points from a wide spectrum of horror movies. If you haven't seen it yet and want something spooky to watch, I'd recommend it. If you're looking for other horror movies, I have a few recommendations on my channel. Like and subscribe for more videos like this, and let me know what horror movies I should watch next.